Hours before dawn in Russia's Astrakhan Oblast, a Ukrainian military operation was quietly set in motion. From launch sites deep inside Ukraine, 14 long-range drones ascended into the night sky. Each was armed with a 40 kg warhead, and they were embarking on a mission designed to prove that Ukraine's strike capability could reach far beyond the known front lines. These were not standard drones. They were specialized aircraft built for a single high-stakes objective that fly hundreds of kilometers through contested airspace and hit a valuable maritime target. The target was a Russian cargo ship anchored in the Caspian Sea. For days, Ukrainian and Allied satellites had maintained constant surveillance on the vessel, carefully logging its movements and anchorage patterns. The ship's captain, believing he was well beyond the range of any Ukrainian threat, was completely unaware that his every action was being monitored. The target was the Port Olia 4, a 900-ton cargo vessel. Intelligence reports confirmed it was carrying a critical military shipment from Iran, totaling nearly 5,000 tons of strategic materials. On board were essential components for building Shahed 136 and the newer Shahed 238 drones, including advanced avionics, navigation units, and gyroscopic sensors. The hold also contained a large quantity of 122 rocket ammunition. In practical terms, this one shipment held enough material for Russia to build hundreds of drones and sustain weeks of rocket attacks against Ukrainian cities and military targets. The 110-m-long vessel had taken what it thought were cautious measures. Instead of docking at Russia's main Olia port, the captain anchored the ship inside the Volga-Don shipping canal. This was a move intended to reduce risk based on the assumption that the Caspian Sea, located about 800 km from the Ukrainian front, was a secure rear area. However, Ukrainian military intelligence had already anticipated this, having a complete picture of the shipment's timing, route, and anchorage plans long before it arrived. The intelligence that made this operation possible came from two main sources. First, data was gathered from Japanese commercial satellites using synthetic aperture radar, or SR. Unlike standard cameras, SAR technology can see through clouds and works perfectly day or night. This allowed analysts to track the vessel even when it turned off its automatic identification system, AIS transponder. By examining the radar reflections, they confirmed the ship's identity and its anchorage pattern, establishing a predictable 4 to 6 hour window, more than enough time to launch a coordinated strike. The second layer of intelligence came from analyzing the ship's communications. The vessel was operating in a low-profile mode, minimizing its electronic signals to avoid detection. This attempt at stealth, however, did the opposite. It signaled to Ukrainian planners that the ship was carrying a high-value cargo. This period of electronic silence created the perfect opportunity for an attack. The primary goal was carefully defined to sink the vessel in a controlled way, sending the irreplaceable drone parts and munitions to the bottom of the sea rather than causing a massive explosion that could have unpredictable consequences. For this long-range mission, Ukraine chose a drone based on the UJ-26J-26 Beaver platform. These drones are made of composite materials, which makes them difficult for radar to detect. They can cruise at speeds between 150 and 180 km/h, allowing them to fly long distances while staying low to the ground to avoid radar detection. Their guidance system used a mix of satellite and internal navigation with a camera for final target confirmation, ensuring accuracy even if GPS was jammed. The 40 kg warheads were a combination of fragmentation and semi-armor piercing types designed to cause specific damage, like tearing through the deck, destroying systems, and creating holes along the water line. With extended fuel tanks, these drones had a range of up to 1,200 km, putting the Caspian Sea target easily within reach. The strike force consisted of 14 drones in total. 12 were assigned to the main attack, while 2 were configured to act as communications relays. At around 5:25 a.m., the mission was finalized. The attack was planned from 4 different directions. The first group would target the ship's stern from the starboard side, aiming for the engine room and ventilation shafts to disable the ship. A second group would approach from the bow on the port side, targeting the bridge and forward sections. The third group was tasked with striking the middle of the vessel to puncture the hull at the waterline and cause rapid flooding. Final pair of drones had a secondary role to block any rescue attempts by nearby tugboats. At 5:45 a.m., the drones began their launch from different locations across Ukraine. Their 5-hour flight to the target was carefully planned. The main attack group flew at an extremely low altitude between 20 and 60 m above the surface to stay hidden from enemy radar. The 2 relay drones flew higher at 300 to 500 m to ensure a stable communication link to the Russian port security radars. These small, slow-moving drones likely appeared as insignificant blips easily dismissed as background noise or birds. At 10 to 28 a.m. local time, the attack began. The first drone's warhead exploded against the upper deck near the stern, tearing open steel plates around the engine room's ventilation system. The blast immediately started fires that destroyed critical electrical cables, disabling the ship's damage control systems. Onboard fuel pumps and generators began to fail, crippling the crew's ability to fight the fires. Seconds later, a second drone hit the starboard waterline. Its warhead partially pierced the hull, causing major flooding in the lower compartments. The third and fourth drones struck in quick succession, targeting the ship's midsection. One hit a cargo hatch while the other breached the port waterline. The combined impacts weakened the ship's structure, and thick smoke began to cover the deck as the vessel started to lean to one side. On the bridge, alarms blared as the captain declared a general emergency. Port authorities dispatched 2 tugboats and a patrol craft to help. Before the rescue boats could get close, a fifth drone struck at 10:31 a.m., hitting the bow near the control room. The explosion short-circuited electrical panels, and the bridge went dark as the main power failed, leaving the ship on limited battery backup. Between 10:33 and 10:36 a.m., the 6th and 7th drones delivered coordinated strikes against the starboard side, ripping a large gash in the hull that caused water to flood in even faster. By 10:38 a.m., with fires burning out of control and multiple sections flooded, the order was given to abandon ship. The crew lowered lifeboats as thick black smoke poured from the stern. During the attack, Russian air defenses managed to shoot down 2 of the incoming drones, but it was too little too late to change the outcome. At 10:41 a.m., the 8th drone hit the lower midship section, worsening the list to 7 degrees. The ship's pumps were now completely overwhelmed. The 9th and 10th drones followed, striking the stern and rupturing fuel lines which fed the fires. At the same time, the 11th and 12th drones carried out their mission to deny rescue, detonating near the approaching Russian tugboats and creating explosive barriers that blocked their path. Throughout the attack, the 2 relay drones transmitted live video, giving a real-time assessment of the damage. The damage created a chain reaction. The loss of power caused the pumps to fail, leading to uncontrolled flooding. The increasing list put immense stress on the ship's frame, causing it to weaken and fail. By 10:50 a.m., the Port Olia 4 was fatally wounded. Within hours, it capsized. By 2:32 p.m., satellite images confirmed the vessel was almost completely underwater, with only a small part of its hull visible as smoke continued to rise from the wreck. Initially, Russian authorities tried to downplay the event, claiming the ship had only sustained minor damage. However, photos of the wreck soon appeared on open-source intelligence channels. Analysts used details in the photos, like nearby buildings and cranes, to confirm the location and the extent of the damage. Satellite imagery backed this up, clearly showing a smoke plume visible from over 10 km away. On August 14, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine officially confirmed the strike, stating that the Porsche 4 had been carrying Iranian drone components. The strategic loss for Russia was immense. A single Shahed drone kit weighs about 200 kg. With a cargo of 5,000 tons, the Port Olia 4 was carrying enough components for several hundred drones. More importantly, the loss of specialized avionics, navigation systems, and power units created a major bottleneck in Russia's drone production pipeline. Strategically, the attack fundamentally changed the operational landscape. Russia had long viewed the Caspian Sea as a secure logistical hub, safe from Ukrainian attacks. This operation shattered that assumption, proving Ukraine could strike deep into areas once considered untouchable. The maritime insurance market reacted immediately, with war risk premiums for ships in the region rising sharply. The attack also sent diplomatic ripples through the region as other Caspian nations called for emergency security meetings. The Caspian Sea was no longer a sanctuary. It was now a contested space for Ukraine. This was a huge strategic win. The attack expanded the war far beyond the Black Sea, forcing Moscow to rethink its entire supply chain and defense strategy. By destroying a single ship, Ukraine eliminated a large number of future weapons and slowed down Russia's air attacks. For Russia, it was a painful lesson that exposed its vulnerabilities. The sense of security was gone, replaced by the hard truth that in modern war, distance offers no protection. Ukraine's real victory wasn't just the sunken ship, but the uncertainty it forced upon Moscow.